So let's get
Sweet.
into the Ahsoka discussion. We're going to be talking about Ahsoka Episode 4. So first we'll talk about how we felt about it and rank it, and then we'll get into spoilers. So, how did you feel about Ahsoka Episode 4, Fallen Jedi?
This episode was awesome.
Agreed.
Start to finish. The lightsaber fights, the characters, the visuals, everything. The pacing I thought was really good.
Yep, I agree with that 100%.
I think it picked up a lot. Well, the first 3 episodes were a little slower. This one's not good pacing. Like it wasn't all action, but in between it was interesting dialogue and interesting visuals. I loved everything about the episode, the music, everything. And again, once we get to more spoilers, I can dig into it more. But what did you think?
Yeah, I agree. This was hands down the best episode so far. Not saying the other ones were bad, but this one, it was just, like you said, I thought the lightsaber fights were amazing. And even the parts in between it kept my interest the whole time. The characters were great. Definitely the strongest episode. I loved it.
Yeah. Okay. So we both are in agreement. It's the best episode so far.
Yeah, for sure.
And the ending too.
Yes, it's got me so excited for next week.
Oh gosh, I cannot wait. I know Dave Filoni's directing that episode too.
Yeah,
so
I'm super excited for that one.
But so score wise, what would you give it?
This is tough. I want to give it a 10 because it's so good, but the thing that's holding me back from a 10 is what it's set up next week. I feel like it might it has the possibility of being even better. So I think I'm going to give it a 9. And then I think once all the episodes are out, we'll probably go back and re-rank them. So this one could bump up to a 10, depending. But right now, I think I'll give it a 9 just because I have expectations for the next one that one could be a 10. So
okay, I agree. And we definitely will re-rank them.
Yeah.
So I would give it a 9 out of 10 as well. I actually was going to say the exact same thing you were going to say.
Yeah.
This episode was near perfect, but I just have a feeling. I don't know. I have a feeling we're going to get that next oomph in the next episode.
Yeah.
I don't know. I agree with you. It could be a 10 out of 10, but I don't want to just hand out 10 out of 10s, and I have a feeling we'll enjoy another episode, or at least give us the Luke Skywalker kind of excitement from Mandalorian type of thing.
Yeah.
So I guess that's what this episode was missing for me. Not that it's not a bad thing, at all.
Yeah, not every episode can have that.
Yeah, and so it's not a bad thing at all. I'm just saying, it didn't have that kind of, thing, I guess. So I got 9 out of 10. It's still a great freaking score.
Yeah, for sure.
But I agree with what you said, though. I think that would be an interesting thing to kind of go back to each episode and kind of re-rank, if we have any re-rankings to kind of see. Maybe this does end up being our favorite episode, and we're like, you know what? Maybe this was a 10 out of 10.
Yeah. I think if this is my favorite episode, if the other one doesn't top it, I think this one jumps up to 10. It was just so well done.
And the way the other one, the way this one ended, I hope it's not my favorite episode, because
yeah,
maybe I'm setting my expectations too high or my excitement too high. Yeah, we can't say nothing until we get in spoilers. But
yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think that is a good time to jump into spoilers. So just be warned, everybody listening. We're going to talk about the episode in depth now, get into spoilers, and then once we're done, we'll jump into the quiz. But let's go ahead and jump into spoilers.
Spoilers. Well, first and foremost, but come on, that ending, right?
Oh my God, that ending. I got goosebumps. Here, I got goosebumps as soon as I heard live action Anakin call her Snips.
Hey, Snips. That's like every kid or adult watcher that's been watching Clone Wars for years and years and years and years. Like that's a dream, right? Like I've always wanted, because it's always been two separate things. And
Right.
like, oh,
It definitely felt like it's coming together, and seeing that in
yeah.
live action is just so crazy.
Oh, it's that was awesome. And then of
And
course, actually seeing him.
yep. And then immediately the Darth Vader theme playing, and you're like, oh man, what's
Uh-huh.
gonna happen?
Is that just like a subtle thing of like, hey, it's still Darth Vader, he's still in the bad? Or is it like a hint of like he might not be the Anakin you think he is?
It could be that. I kind of feel like it's, to me it was like what Ahsoka is feeling. Like she sees Anakin, it's her master. At first it's all happy, and then she remembers what he became in the last time she saw him, which was as Darth
Mhm.
Vader, and it's just like
Like a moment of happiness, but then her realizing, wait a second.
yeah, this guy fell, and fell hard, and killed younglings and killed all the Jedi. And but I don't know, it could be
Yeah.
like maybe this is something darker that Ahsoka's going to have to overcome, or just something ominous to end the episode on.
And I mean, we don't even know a whole lot about the world between worlds because
Yeah.
that's where she was.
Yeah.
And so, did he pull her in there? How did she get in there? Is he a force ghost? Are entities in the world between worlds like physical?
Yeah. That was
Like,
interesting that he wasn't like Force ghosty, but I think in Rebels
mhm.
when they talk to Yoda in the world between worlds, he's solid too.
So is
But
it like the spirit worlds where they're kind of stronger
yeah, that could
there,
be.
and they can only project themselves when they're out of the world between worlds?
Yeah, possibly. And so
And
the question you asked is really interesting. Like, did he pull her in there, or how did she get there? I think it's possible he
mhm,
could have pulled her in there, but I think it has something to do with the owl, the sister from Clone Wars.
mhm,
Because, like, when Ezra pulled Ahsoka into the world between worlds, the owl was there, like, guiding him. I think that owl has
mhm.
something to do with the world between worlds, and that's
Yeah,
probably how she got there.
I mean, realistically, that would make the most sense. But then why see Anakin first? So is that in her
Yeah.
head? I hope it's just. I personally hope it's not just in her head. Like
Yeah, I
I
don't
hope
think it
that's like,
is.
which yeah, I don't either.
From
I'm
what
just
we've
saying I don't
seen
hope
from
they
the
go the
world, from the
route.
what we've seen from the world between worlds so far, like when Ezra first goes in there, he hears voices of Force users from the past and present, and it's not like something
Mhm.
in his head. He's like actually hearing it. And then he pulls Ahsoka into the world between worlds. Like I think it's more concrete than that. I don't think it's just in her head.
I I I think so too. What we just don't know now though is
Yeah, that's
what form or what time or what is this Anakin?
yeah.
Like,
I think this is going to be a big turning point for Ahsoka. I think she's kind of failing training Sabine, and I think it has to do with her mentality about like everything that's happened. And I feel like her talking to
mhm.
Anakin is going to help her move past that and learn a new way to do things, and start
So
really making strides with Sabine.
I agree, and I don't know if I'm trying to think if we mentioned this before, but I think, and again, I'm not sure if I mentioned this before with you. I actually think you may disagree with me. I'm not saying this season. If there's a season two or even a Dave Filoni movie, I think Ahsoka's story is coming to an end. I think we have to die.
That's
I'm not
possible.
saying this season. I'm not saying this season. If there's a second season or even the Dave Filoni movie,
Yeah.
like you kind of said, this is a pivoting moment. I think this is because I think her biggest downfall or regret, not even a regret, but sadness, because obviously Anakin leaving him behind. I mean, they
Yeah.
mentioned it a couple times in the show already.
Yep.
Anyways, long story short, I just think Ahsoka's had such a good journey and story arc, and I think it's nearing its end. And I love her. I don't want her to die.
Yeah, I think that's
Uh,
possible. Especially like I don't think she's gonna die in this series necessarily, like
No.
you said, but like in the movie, I could see that being a possibility, or even something right after that.
I just kind of feel like almost like, I don't want to say an end to her journey, but she's had such a complete arc, and we're kind of rounding it out now that we're digging more into like Anakin. I don't know. I just feel like this is towards the end of her story. I mean, she is older.
Yeah, she definitely has to like. She's gonna leave her mark somehow, whether it's through Sabine or Jason or something. She's gonna train up the next generation of Jedi, or at least help Grogu maybe, and kind of leave her mark. And then after that, you know, they might kill her off.
Yeah. So I don't know.
That's gonna be really sad, and my wife is gonna be so distraught. Ahsoka's her favorite character.
I mean, I'm not saying I want her to die.
No, I know.
Like, I wouldn't be happy she's dying, but I would feel like her character, like thinking back over everything, like she had such a good arc, and I would be satisfied at where they left her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But again, maybe she doesn't die. Maybe they send her off into the sunset. You know?
Yeah, she does have a lot of plot armor. She's escaped death multiple times now, so maybe she just stays around and just kind of does her own thing.
But I mean, the only reason I kind of brought that up is because how you said this was a turning point with Sabine and stuff.
Yeah,
I feel like this really could be, like, I think this could be the end of her story. Again, not necessarily in this show, but just with Dave Filoni and Ahsoka, because this could fix or help her realize, help train Sabine or Jason, and it can kind of go full circle. She can finally let go of the whole Anakin thing. You know what I mean? It's like a weight off her shoulder. She could, I don't know. It just...
Yeah, I think moving past the failure of Anakin and her guilt over that is going to be the big turning point in this season.
I think next episode, I don't even think we're going to see the other galaxy. I think maybe you're at the very end, but I think this is going to be more so. I think it's going to be more so an Ahsoka and Anakin episode. Maybe him showing her the past.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
Like, let's be real, like, Ahsoka wouldn't have been able to stop him anyway, so maybe that's going to be a theme of the episode, like, hey, there's nothing you could have done.
It wasn't your fault, yeah.
You know, I'm always going to turn into this, and maybe that's why they have Darth Vader theme or something. I don't know.
Yep.
But that being said, at the same time, I do kind of think we'll see a little bit of the other galaxy, because, like I said, Dave Filoni's directing the next episode, and I don't see him introducing Thrawn and Ezra in live action and like not
directing,
like being the director of that.
Yeah, I think that could be similar to the Anakin ending here, where it's just like the ending, and then you see Thrawn, you might see Ezra.
Yeah, maybe. But
maybe we see more. Yeah. Maybe it cuts between Ahsoka and Anakin, and then Sabine's story.
In the World Between Worlds, it's not just time, right? Can you go in present time? Can you go into any point? So could the World Between Worlds take her to that other galaxy, or take her to Ezra?
I think that's what's gonna happen. Yeah, because it's time and space, and it's just like I think the portals are like heavily Force influenced areas. Each have like a portal to them. So I mean, if there's a hyperspace lane or whatever to that other galaxy, it's probably a Force sensitive spot, because like the space whales, the Purgles use the Force, and the early Force users use the Force to travel those lanes, and so maybe it'll get her over there.
That's true. Yeah. And maybe she pulls Ezra. Maybe it's like the opposite of, full circle moment again, right? Ezra pulled her out, and now she's pulling her out.
I didn't think of that, but maybe.
And then Balin and them and Morgan, they take Thrawn. So maybe Hera and all of them don't even go to the other galaxy. Maybe that's how they get Ezra back, because they don't have the map. And then that's how, then the Balin and them get Thrawn back that way. But some people are saying that the map could be engraved in her hand or something like that when she grabbed it.
I saw something like that. Maybe, but I think the World Between Worlds is more likely.
Now that I'm thinking about it, like, I just thought about that now. Like, it would make sense. And it'd be kind of cool, Ezra pulling him out. And then them preparing for them maybe that would be the rest of the season, right? They're preparing for Thrawn to come back with like an army or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting actually.
Yeah, that's an interesting theory.
Now.
I want to see that other galaxy.
I do too, so bad. It's like it's almost like rules don't apply. Like anything could happen in that galaxy.
Yeah. Yep.
It's a different galaxy. Oh God, I can't wait.
Yeah.
But we haven't even talked about the rest of the episode.
I know. Right? Let's go back. Let's start from the beginning. So,
okay.
It starts out with them on the ship trying to fix it. I thought the fight with Hu Yang was kind of interesting to see him actually fighting those HK droids with his 4 arms.
I thought that was awesome too. I wish he would have whipped out some lightsabers.
I know. Start General Grievous whipping him around.
But I thought that was a really cool scene, and how he just used the other arms to rip out the lights, and Ahsoka knew like, oh, he wouldn't do that.
He wouldn't do that. That was a good line. Like they know each other for sure.
I thought that was a cool little fight.
Yeah, I did too.
It was intense.
It was. I was like, oh God, Hu Yang better not die.
I thought he was for a second too, because he's like, help. I'm like, oh no, are they really gonna kill him off?
Yeah, not David Tennant.
With I don't know, dude, the atmosphere of the episode, they set it off right away. Like the fog, and did you notice like the lightsaber? Is it just me, or did the lightsabers in the show look so much better in the Obi-Wan show?
Yeah, they do look really good in this.
Because when they're hitting each other with the lightsaber, like the lightsabers are touching, you can see the smoke and oh my gosh, did you notice that when they were fighting?
Yeah, they looked amazing, and even like the choreography, dude. That's the standout in this episode. Beside the Anakin part, was the lightsaber choreography and the way they use different stances in this. Like, so after that fight, Ahsoka fights Marok, and Shin fights Sabine, and that fight was really cool because like you could just see Ahsoka take the stance and be like, I'm going to do to this guy what I've done to every other Inquisitor that has tried to fight me. Mm-hmm. And then she just does it. And then
and that leads to also like weeks and weeks of debate of who Marok is or Marok is. And it's just like nobody.
Well, I think that was a really interesting part because I wasn't sure what it was at first, but rewatching it, it definitely looked like green smoke. So I think...
Yeah, I mean, it was
the Night Sister. Magic. Yeah, he was a Night Sister zombie that she was using, which is really cool. And actually,
it's a callback to Maul's brother. Right?
Yep. Mm-hmm. I think that was better.
I just the debate of. I agree. I just the debate of even we were talking about right, like it could be this, it could be that, like a weeks long debate. At the end of the day, it's just witch magic, which I like it too. I'm fine with that too.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
And one other thing we missed too was after the fight with the robots when Ahsoka and Sabine came out. I thought that was a cool little fight. Like I love how Sabine is still Mandalorian first.
Yeah,
she's still using her weapons and her armor and all that. And the way they were, Ahsoka Sabine would pull a robot towards them and Ahsoka flash it like they were kind of working together with that.
That was cool. Yeah, and I think that makes perfect sense for Sabine. I mean, she's been a Mandalorian her whole life fighting that way and still is a little weird, clumsy with the lightsaber. So, like...
it makes sense.
Yeah, it makes total sense. And it's cool to see that in live action, too, Sabine doing her thing.
Mm-hmm. And Hu Yang's little thing, like, stay together, you'll thank me.
Yeah, they definitely should have, because they didn't.
How do you feel about that too? When they were talking in there a few times before this point, Ahsoka was saying, can I trust you, or you can do the right thing? We might not be able to save Ezra.
Yeah.
Do you think that was a little too much foreshadowing, or do you think that was more so just?
I didn't have a problem with it. I mean, it was a little heavy-handed. I could definitely tell Sabine, the way she said it, yeah, of course, or you can trust me. It's like, that's not really the answer she wanted. You're definitely going to do something, but I don't know. It didn't really bother me.
It didn't bother me because of the outcome. It could have bothered me if there's a different outcome, which I'll explain when we get to that part.
Yeah.
But it actually didn't bother me either because of what happened and how it happened. But
yeah. And like for Sabine, like thinking about Sabine's Rebels character, she never really followed the rules that much and kind of so Ahsoka being like, hey, are you with me? Can I trust you? Like, I know you tend to go off on your own and do your own thing. Like, I think that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't think it's I didn't think it was heavy handed personally, like at all, but I know some people probably would have.
Yeah.
But so then that Marok and Ahsoka and then Sabine.
I loved how Sabine caught Shin off guard with that Mandalorian rocket or blaster or whatever it was.
Oh yeah, that was good. Like, Shin's like, you have no power.
Yep.
Yeah. That was awesome. See that moment right there, I loved. I'm like, I was hoping they wouldn't do like a Rey moment where she didn't know all this, she didn't have all this force power. All of a sudden, she found it. Nope.
It almost looked like it. She did a little force push or something, but then obviously it's like way too weak.
Or was it even a force push, or was it more of like just like a reaction, like, I'm gonna get pushed by her?
I think it could be that, but I think there was like a noise that typically happens when the force is used, and I think that's indicating that she did push a little bit, but it was just a little bit. And Shin felt it and was like, this is nothing. You have no power. That's how I took it.
Okay. See, I took it the other way where I don't even think she did anything. It was just like indicating that she was trying.
Yeah, that's possible.
But I mean, they haven't confirmed anything. So, which I kind of like. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
To debate it. But yeah, that little trick she did, I'm like, it caught her off guard. I'm like, that's a good way because they could have easily Rey. I don't even want to say Skywalker, but Rey Skywalker and like made her have that
Rey
moment. Like, Rey Mary, exactly. And then like, let's be real, like Sabine wasn't doing great, like she was kind of getting her.
Yeah, Shin was in control that whole time until that.
Yeah, but the way that Sabine, he didn't even get control, but the way they kind of made her escape a little bit made sense, kind of like. Shin's like, you have no power, and using her little Mandalorian thing, catching her off guard. I'm like, oh yeah, that's cool.
And
that
like those were made to fight Jedi too, so it makes total sense that like, I mean, her Beskar armor blocked some lightsaber blows. She has the grappling hook and that little rocket or laser that, it makes sense that worked against.
Where's her flamethrower?
Yeah, I know. I was waiting for it, but it didn't happen.
Yeah, that was great. And you're right. The choreography and the way I was talking to my dad, and do you know what he noticed? And my dad is he's very critical on Star Wars right now with Disney.
Yep.
He hated season 3 of Mandalorian.
Oh, really?
I liked it, but he did not, and he loved the first 2 seasons. He hated the 3rd season. Doesn't like Boba Fett. He's very critical, and you know what the first thing he said to me? Well, first he texted me, he's like, "Did you watch it? It was good." And I didn't watch it. I'm like, "Oh, great. If he said it was good, then that means it has to be good."
Yeah.
And the first thing he mentioned, he's like, the coolest thing about the episode for me was how you could tell each Jedi or Sith or whatever you want to call them. I'll just say Jedi, even though Ahsoka's not a Jedi. Each lightsaber fighter. Yeah. He said his favorite thing is you could tell that each one has a different fighting style.
Yeah, for sure.
Forms.
I love that.
And he doesn't know the lore of all those. I'm like, oh, you're just getting started, man.
Yeah, I was like trying to pick out the different, because like even Ahsoka swaps weapon styles a couple of times, and that just shows how like she's able to, stick with Baylan with changing lightsaber styles and yeah, Baylan definitely has his own. That's one thing, like the very unique ways each of them fight was really cool. Yeah, I totally agree with that.
And they show it like other, I don't know, like even no other Disney project has showcased fighting like that. Like distinctively, you know what I mean?
I feel like they took their time with it too. There were moments of just like shifting poses and just feeling each other out, and then boom, it would explode in the next fight. And even with the Merrick fight, You know, she puts her lightsaber up and just waits and lets him
Yeah,
make the first move.
She almost goes in like a little samurai stance.
Yeah.
Actually, a few times she did.
Yeah, I think that's Form
And
1.
Form 1. And then what about Balin's? Balin's like a freaking knight, you know, like from the past.
He's using it like a great sword instead of a samurai sword.
Like a great sword, yeah.
I could be wrong, but I think to me his fighting style seemed very similar to Vader's with a lot of power. So I think it was Form 5, Gemso is what I thought it was, with him just like putting all the power into his swings.
It seemed like more power, but it also seemed more like what's the word I'm looking for? Like
methodical.
Not more of just pure anger like Vader, but more methodical, like more even controlled. When he's blocking. Yeah, there you go, controlled and methodical. Because even when he's blocking the Sabine's
blaster, it's just like boom, 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 boom.
He can almost see it before it's even coming. Like he's moving his lightsaber before they're even. I don't know.
I thought that was cool. Yeah.
And that fight with Balin and Ahsoka was probably the greatest lightsaber fight Disney has done yet, movies or shows.
I agree.
Like, oh god, I keep saying it, but the atmosphere, and at the beginning of that fight, there's like almost no music. And the other thing my dad said is he liked how like each lightsaber kind of has, and I agree with it, like it has its own sound when you pop it open, and I don't know, it's just so. The sound of each lightsaber is different. The forms are different. The lightsabers look like when they're actually touching, you see smoke and
dude. And Ahsoka's lightsabers. What's that? I love Ahsoka's new lightsabers with that slight curve. My favorite lightsaber in the Clone Wars stuff was Dooku's with his curved lightsaber, and hers having that and seeing how she can like the two-handed grip gives her a little more like leverage on it when she uses it, and it's just slightly different. So I feel like that could screw up some enemies who aren't used to dealing with those curved sabers. I just think those lightsabers are so cool.
And with the Balin fight too, she only used like you said, she used the one lightsaber.
Yeah.
And she would have beat Balin, right, if her hand didn't burn up.
I want to see that so bad. Like, I wish if she could have fought full strength the whole time.
There better be another fight between them.
Yeah, I hope so. I want to see that so bad.
They will. It better not be like Kylo and Luke, right? Like he's like, "See you around, kid." Like he just dies and they don't fight.
That would suck.
That would be awful. But
I think to get Ahsoka to the world between worlds, I think that was the perfect way of doing it, is make her injured and then one-handed against that much strength. Just, you're absolutely going to lose. Like, you can't block it.
I loved how she used the Force to even stop his power. You know that?
Yep. That was cool.
This dude is just power. Or even when they were fighting and their lightsaber touched, and then you see him do that little jump down.
Yep.
Like, this dude's like a brute. Yeah, like a methodical brute. You're right. Like that's the best way to put it. He's a brute, but he's very. He's actually scary.
He's in control, but like overpoweringly strong. Yeah.
Which makes him scary, right? Like the fact that he's like he knows he has that power, but he's so in control. It's like
I'm so interested, like in his, because he definitely holds himself like a Jedi. He's like what Count Dooku would have been if he stayed more on the Jedi side and was like twice as big.
No, that's what a lot of people are saying. He's kind of like Count Dooku, like done right in the movies.
Yeah,
Dooku's great in the Tales of the Jedi and the books.
In the Clone Wars, he was pretty good
and
too.
Clone Wars, the show, everything but the prequel. But that was the most for me. I noticed, all the lightsaber stances and everything, but the most interesting part to me was the talk that Balin had with Ahsoka before they were fighting, and he mentioned everyone knew who Anakin was, and I was thinking about like it's so true. Like think about it, like if Balin or Jedis that never really interacted with Anakin knew who he was.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, why wouldn't you be mad at the Jedi Council for trusting Anakin from an outsider's perspective? That's not in the end, in the council or that sees Anakin. Why? I would be mad at Jedi too, wouldn't you? You trusted so much into prophecy, and So why would I trust the Jedi anymore? Or why would Ahsoka, for that matter? When he was saying, "Are you gonna,
Yeah, especially Ahsoka, I could totally understand why he's just like, your legacy is that of destruction, because I mean,
yeah,
Anakin was,
master,
was the reason for all that.
And I just loved it. It was so interesting seeing an outsider's like a Jedi perspective that's not like so
close to it.
in.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I never really thought, because all the Jedi we see in the movies and stuff are like close to Anakin.
Yeah, and in that talk, I almost got I mean, he kind of said it before. I got the feeling he's like kind of sad that he has to fight and try and kill Ahsoka.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes his character so much more interesting too. Like, he
doesn't hate the Jedi.
Yeah.
He just, I get what you're saying. Yeah, exactly. He lost faith in them. It's almost more like disappointing.
Yeah.
Because you're right. He even says it's a shame you have to, when he's talking to Morgan or whatever in the previous episode, right? Mm-hmm. It's a shame we'll have to kill her or kill them or something.
Yep.
I still stand by it. He's still the greatest character in the show so far.
Agreed. I want to learn way more about him.
God, I do too. And the other thing too, well, I guess we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves. So, Sabine escapes, right? Or Finn escapes using some little abracadabra stuff.
Yep.
Smoke.
Little Batman smoke bomb. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then, of course, Baylan fight happens with Ahsoka, their conversation, and then he overpowers her, pushes her off the cliff. Oh no, Ahsoka's dead.
I have a question. When Shin shows up and Ahsoka sees her and thinks that Shin killed Sabine or got away somehow and injured her, to me, it seemed like Ahsoka was pushing towards the dark side with her emotion there. Like, you could see she was like worried about Sabine and then just like grabs her and throws her like a rag doll. Do you think that has anything, like, do you think she was using the dark side there or maybe tapping into it a little bit?
Well, I think for sure. And I almost think they purposely made it, like, I thought it was obvious too. I thought it was obvious. Like, I agree. I think she tapped into that dark side. She was mad. She was angry. That was out of pure anger.
Yep, I agree.
But yeah, I agree with that. And that was interesting too, because, the Jedi wouldn't do that, as she would say to.
Yeah. I wonder if that's something that will get talked about in the next episode, of how she is kind of teetering on the edge of using the dark side.
Yeah, because she's not Jedi, right? Like,
yeah.
But at the same time, like, I'm sure that's like a slippery slope, right? Like, that's why there is a Jedi Order, right?
Yep.
I get that's another debate you could have, right? Like, that's a debate on anything in life, but the Jedi Order was the same thing with the Empire, right? I'm not for the Empire. I'm just saying.
The Empire did nothing wrong? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, the Empire did nothing wrong. No, but the Jedi Order was, to enforce order, to not teeter into the dark side. It was like any religion, right?
Yeah.
Like, so when you don't have it, it's like you got to be careful, because that can be a slippery slope.
Yep. And they're like kind of building something new.
Yeah.
Doing it a little differently, and you never know.
You just never know, like, what that, and even though you're not a Jedi, you don't want to be a Sith.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That is interesting.
Doesn't want to. That's for sure.
Oh, no. But I agree with you. I wonder if she's going to, like, point that out. Like, oh, like, I wanted to kill Shin for potentially killing my Padawan, like, so that would be interesting. I didn't think about that. And then after she gets kicked off the cliff, or hit off the cliff, Sabine comes, and Baylan convinces her, reads her mind, or her thoughts, and persuades her.
Yeah,
I don't even think he really persuaded her. I think it was
she wanted to.
Well, she wanted to, and he knew it, kind of thing.
Yep.
But yeah, he's good. He's good with his words. What did you think on that? So what I was going to say earlier is, when they were kind of hinting at, I can trust you, I can trust you, you can trust me. if it would have went the other way and she kept it, or I thought Hera was going to swing in and save the day, I would have been pissed off at those lines. Oh, you
Yeah.
can trust me, because then I would have been like, that would have been so obvious. Like I did not expect her. I didn't think, to be quite honest, I did not think Disney had the balls to have the main good guy give a bad guy something that, I mean, essentially she did something bad, even though you could debate it wasn't. I didn't think she'd do it. Did you? Like, I honestly,
I was
I
kind
did
of
not think she would do it.
I kind of thought she would when they were talking about that because of two reasons. One, her answer, she didn't say, yes, I will destroy the map. She said, I'll have your back, or something like that. It seemed kind of like trying to give a loophole-ish. So it kind of seemed like she wasn't fully bought into that. And two, they had to get to the other galaxy. Like, that's what this is building to. I'm like, they have to. Like, Sabine's probably.
Let me word it better. Is that how you thought it would happen?
Not for sure.
I thought it was going to be like, I'll give it to you, but you have to let Ahsoka go.
Yeah.
So her willingly give it to him with like no Ahsoka involved or nothing. Like, I thought it had been. So I was more shocked in the fact that like she could have just destroyed it. Like, there's nothing, like, he already hit Ahsoka off the cliff and everything. There's nothing where she like had to give it to him. She just willingly gave it to him.
Yeah, I had a feeling she wasn't going to be able to destroy it. I didn't think she would then go with them. But that was like a Balin curveball, being like, yeah, just come with us.
Yeah. And another great Balin moment, right? Like, Shin gets up, 4 strokes turns, like, no, I keep my word.
I love that he kept his word. And his talk to Sabine, especially when he's like, do it. For Ezra. It's like almost the Senate level there. But that was a good, like, he's such a good character. But yeah, I didn't think it would happen exactly like that. I had a feeling she wouldn't be able to destroy the map, but I didn't think she would go with them.
I had a feeling of that too. I just didn't think it would go down the way it did. I thought it would have been something like she gave it up to save Ahsoka, or maybe Hera saves them in time and she dropped the map, but they escape.
Yeah.
I didn't think it would be straight up 1v1, like, you can go, you can destroy it, but just give it to me instead, and she does.
Yeah.
But I liked it.
I did too.
Number one, it's a more interesting character. People can debate this all day. Like, I was talking to Brandon, my brother, and he was saying, what was he saying? He was saying that was dumb for her to give it to him. I'm like, dude, so you're saying if you had a chance to save someone you love, you would do the same thing.
Like, what you feel.
And he's like, well, no. I'm like, okay, so if it was like Izzy, or like the mother of your child, and he'd be like, well, that's different. I'm like, no, it's not different. It's someone you love.
Yeah.
I think people try to act all high and mighty and say they would do the good thing. But if you're in that moment and you have a chance to save someone you truly love, like, don't tell me it's an easy choice.
Yeah. I also think, based on everything we know about Sabine from Rebels, it makes sense. I mean, in Rebels, basically every other episode is them getting caught and then being in the enemy's ship and then having to escape and figure stuff out. I think that's kind of how it's going to go. Like, she's going to have to try and find Ezra and then figure out how to get out, or do, I don't know exactly. But that just kind of still feels like Rebels Sabine to me. It makes sense she would make that choice.
She would make that hard choice, and like you said, I mean, it's her only family. Like,
yep.
I don't know. I don't get the argument of, oh, that was so stupid, that's dumb writing. Like, I 100% disagree.
Yeah, I don't think that's dumb writing. I think that's what it makes sense to me for the character.
Yeah, yep, 100% agree. So then they take her up to the ship, and then they do that super awesome hyperspace jump. Yep. I thought that looked awesome. So Hera just, which another moment we didn't really talk about, is Hera saying, screw you guys, I'm not getting permission, I'm just dipping.
Yeah.
That, I love that. That's a total Hera moment. You weren't like, I agree, like, the girl who plays Hera, like, that was such a Hera moment, wasn't it?
Yep, absolutely. It's perfect for the character, and it makes, like, the New Republic is horrible. They don't do anything. So yeah, just say screw it. They're not going to be able to court martial her before she like gets back. Like they don't do anything.
Now that being said, I don't know if you bring Jason.
Yeah, that's a little weird.
But I mean, I guess they just had to. I don't know. Have that line right. I have that feeling.
Yeah, that was the last thing I had was him saying I've got a bad feeling, which is foreshadowing his force sensitivity. I'm sure.
Maybe she just doesn't. Like you said, maybe the New Republic is so stupid, so that he doesn't trust her.
Yeah, she should have left him with Uncle Zeb. Definitely not Chopper.
Don't get me started. That's why it's on a 10 out of 10.
Because Zeb wasn't in the fleet with the X-Wings.
He will be now. I have faith. I'm going to excuse it because maybe Zeb's off to another thing. But now that Harold's rogue...
I was expecting him, but when I saw it was all X-Wings, I'm pretty sure Zeb is a Y-Wing pilot now. So when I saw that, I was like, it's not going to be Zeb. But
yeah, I mean, I guess it's kind of good it wasn't, but
yeah, true.
I'll excuse it up to this point. I'll excuse it, but now that Hera knows that Ahsoka, whatever, they think she's probably dead.
Yeah.
And Sabine's taken a different galaxy. If like Hera doesn't call up Zeb and be like, dude, all of our rebel teammates are like dropping like flies, I need your help, I'm gonna be pissed.
Yeah, I really hope he shows up. That's one thing that needs to happen.
I can only excuse it so much. Like, fine, it's a big galaxy, it's probably off doing things. But at this point, if he knew or heard this news or if Hera didn't call him or something, it wouldn't make sense to me.
Yeah. I agree.
But that hyperspace jump was awesome.
Yeah, that looked so cool.
The ripple, like this freaking ripples in space almost.
Yep.
Oh, that was
and them going
awesome.
right through the ghost and all them and seeing the aftermath of that looked, very cool.
Oh, looked amazing. And then Hu fixed the ship, but no one was answering him.
Yep.
and then it panned to the Ahsoka, the World Between Worlds.
That transition from the sea to the World Between Worlds was so clean.
That was awesome. I was wondering what they were doing to fix. I'm like, what are they doing? Because they were, they're planning over the ocean. I'm like, what's going to be the next scene? This just ends?
Yeah, and then it just seamlessly transitions. It's so good.
But yeah, all in all, dude, like, I said it. I talked to my dad. He's an old school Star Wars fan. Doesn't really like the new stuff, which a lot of us don't. But he didn't even like Mandalorian. Like, he's more critical than us.
Yeah.
He said this felt the most Star Wars since the prequels, and I actually agree with that.
I agree. Yeah.
The Mandalorian's great. We talked about last week. This got good in different ways. Andor, probably 10 out of 10 show in different ways.
Yeah.
But
totally different show, but so good. Yeah, this felt Star Wars for sure.
Like the music, the lightsaber fights, the dialogue, the cliffhanger, and you know what the best part is? I feel like this is the first time in a long time. If you don't know what the heck is gonna happen.
Yeah.
This is the first time in a long time where like we don't know anything.
Yeah, the World Between Worlds ending, it's just like anything could happen. They could go like anywhere in time and space and like I don't know.
Well, and then hop into another galaxy.
Yep.
Like both storylines, 2 out of 3, are like going to places we've never been, or we don't know the rules of that world or universe or whatever you want to call it, galaxy.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I absolutely loved it. 9 out of 10. Like you said, only reason I don't give it a 10 out of 10 is I just feel like the next episode or one of these episodes is going to have that extra oomph that we're going to be like going crazy with.
And Zeb.
No, seriously, though. No joke, man. Freaking Zeb. And just nitpicking, why bring Jason on the ship? But that's just nitpicking for me.
Yeah, that's a nitpick. I don't think it's that big of a deal. It doesn't make total sense, but whatever.
It's not. I'm just thinking, like, if I had to critique something, like, that would be no Zeb. Why the heck would you have Zeb? Why do you bring Jason to something where, like, it's off the books, it's totally dangerous, uncharted territories? But other than that, honestly, I really do. I don't, like, I'm trying to think of negatives.
Yeah, I literally didn't write down. I normally write like good, bad, and then just meh, but I had all good in this one.
Yeah, there's really nothing. Yeah, 9 out of 10, and that's high on our scale, man.
Yeah.
The first 2 episodes were what, 7?
7, yeah, I think.
What did we give the third one? Was
7
I think
or
it was a
8.
7 too.
Yeah, something like that. I'll go back and tally up our scores of each one before we do the final one.
Yeah, and then maybe, like you said, maybe we'll do a little bonus episode of kind of
The whole
like
series.
an overall season. Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, I can't wait for next week.
Oh, I'm so excited.
I'm so excited. Oh, yeah, that's all I have to say. It was amazing.
Great episode. Set up for something amazing.